Lisa, thank you very much. Welcome to the Donnabrook Podcast, where we explore how technology is reshaping communication, care, and inclusion in the care sectors. I'm Andrew Olsen, Director of Donnabrook, where we work with community-focused organizations from NDIS providers to aged care, housing, and of course, community housing. What we do is help them modernize their communications with AI-powered telephony. Our focus is to help providers automate their operations and deliver efficiency, compliance, and better client-tenant experience. And I have the blessing of having had that opportunity to work with Home and Place for the last 4 years and doing that, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to drive that value. So joining me today is Lisa Evans, Chief Financial Officer of Home and Place. Welcome, Lisa.
Thanks, Andrew.
Home and Place is one of Australia's largest community housing providers, recognized for its leadership and innovation across Australia and New Zealand. Lisa, under your guidance, you guys have been able to continue to expand social impact, delivering affordable housing while maintaining strong governance, sustainability, and operational excellence, as indicated by some of the awards you're getting. So thank you for your time.
Sure.
We just have a few questions here today. And I guess I'll get stuck in. Lisa, you were recently recognized for leadership in the AHI Brighter Future Awards. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Having received that, I wanted to ask what behaviors you think are important for a CFO in a mission-driven housing organization, especially when growth, compliance, and affordability pressures all converge into one.
So I could probably talk about my experience on the award. It was a surprise. I did actually, ask them to when I was nominated to check if they had the right Lisa, and they actually said, because I said that, it was pretty clear yes. But to me, it's about being that leader. Humility is number one. So being humble. For what you do. I am slightly different from a lot of accountants that I put people over task. And I think that comes out because I believe if you take a genuine, authentic interest in people and what they're doing and how they do it, both personally and professionally, that's when you reap with the rewards of being able to deliver what we do. So it also makes life a little bit easier that you have a team that can, enjoy, have a bit of fun and a bit of time together rather than just be all spreadsheets, numbers, dollars, and results.
Yeah, it's humility is an interesting and very necessary quality to have. In addition to there was multiple AHI accolades actually this year. Did that also surprise you?
Look, I think it's a case of not about surprising, because it's probably more surprising when we look at who we were competing against on a number of things, particularly in relation to one of our initiatives with our tenants in Taree, winning that. And then obviously with our Innovation Award, winning that. From that perspective, I think from that, it just shows that what we're doing is not necessarily run-of-the-mill. It's tenant-centric. It's people-centric, and it's also about that innovation piece to see how can we do things smarter, more efficiently without having to work harder or necessarily cost the earth as well.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It prompts the question about specific finance practices that you might suggest in terms of, for example, investment governance, benefits realization, KPI design, which might have enabled some of those some of that recognition, and what you think are transferable to other CHPs.
Yeah, so what we do is we actually have, we've developed, I guess, a hurdle process when we're looking at something and particular metrics at what they need to go through. So we always talk about, our return on investment, our net present value, making sure it's positive, but we also consider other things, not necessarily all those primary financial benefits. There's secondary benefits that may occur in relation to time savings, efficiency, but we don't exclude in any way about quality, competition, having a point of difference. That, like I said, that tenant-centric piece is that going to make a difference to our tenants' experience? Is it going to make a difference to our people's experience? So we look at primary, secondary, and tertiary benefits to make sure that we're not just considering that dollar bottom line, which can be a lot for a lot of investment pieces, but we look at our some things we make a decision on because it will leverage us for something further in the future. It could also mean that we're protecting something that we're doing and how we're going to do it. It could be protecting reputation and brand even when you look at something. That's quite important. The compliance reasons, but it's not just about the dollar. It's about the experience and the clients, the tenants, and the communities that we're servicing and how we make a difference there.
Yeah. It's a delicate balance, I guess, in terms of innovation and digital value, balancing cyber data quality, CX returns, and then with the tenant experience when you're running under scarce CapEx and operating budgets.
And I think that also comes to, I think if we weren't looking at that, Andrew, if people aren't looking at digital, they're not looking at improvements, what they can do there, they're not going to be moving forward. It's the way to move forward, and 100% that would be something that we consider quite a lot, is that cyber risk. And you just have to, turn the radio on, TV on, or open, God forbid, old-fashioned newspaper to see something about cyber attacks or someone's, had data leakages or breaches. We're very conscious of that and making sure we're safeguarding that information. So it's not something that we do lightly. We don't put in an innovation just for the sake of it. We consider ramifications, making sure that we've got our systems locked down in a way that, we do penetration testing, we do auditing of our controls for cyber and access. So we take that seriously as well, but 100% go back to the first point. Digital innovation, whether that's just changing technology, whether you're using machine learning, artificial intelligence, or anything you want to determine, it's about that's the way to move forward. If you're not looking at that, an organisation will be left behind.
Yeah, no, we'd be remiss not to mention AI, where I'm often finding, and this is slowing down a little bit, but people have been using it as a hammer, looking for a nail, as opposed to looking at the challenges you're trying to address first, and then seeing where and how that might be applied amongst a range of options.
Yeah, and I've started using a phrase here. Don't think of it as artificial intelligence, because that applies something that's not real. I'm saying, why don't you look at it as augmented intelligence? So think of the human face, the human perspective on something, and it could be a problem you're trying to solve, then using something that's been looked at by someone smarter than me to see if that augmented intelligence can do it in a way that we haven't thought of.
Yeah, that's an interesting approach. Team culture and talent pipeline. Your own recognition as an inspirational leader, according to the award, spotlights the people side of finance. How are you building a resilient, insights-led team, skills, tooling, rituals that can partner with operations, ICT, tenancy services, all the different departments and roles that have to be juggled?
Yeah, so that goes back to what I said about people over task. So obviously finance, accounting, we're numbers driven. There's a mix of precision in my team and personality. So we look at that because you actually have to have the accuracy and compliance. You cannot get away from that. But I'm also a firm believer of teams built on support, trust, laughter, the sense of shared purpose that we have, and understanding that connection to the vision of what we're doing. Fostering that engagement and environment that it's actually safe to speak up, share ideas, admit mistakes. What can we learn from it? We absolutely celebrate our wins. When we have our strategic days in the finance team, we will spend, for example, 2 or 3 hours celebrating the wins of the last 12 months. But we only look at the things that didn't go as well for half that time. Like I'm very purposeful when I say to them, give me all your wins for the year, and there's no limit, no time limit, no word limit, no cover everything you want. But when I say what could we have done better, they have to give me their top 5. So rather than focus on things didn't go as well, really look at the ones that they actually felt were important, but they don't outweigh the number of wins that you celebrate. So it's actually that we have what we call the finance vibe in my team. We laugh and we joke. We've got fun things that happen. They laugh at us as they walk past. We have a pig that goes off every hour, and everyone gets up and does a little exercise together.
Big?
It's a pig, like it's a plastic pig that oinks. So once again, left of centre. If you look behind me, you can see that's my little shelf. There's inspirational quotes on the board. There's family photos. There's toys.
Wow.
Like it's about having that personality, sharing that purpose. Being there to support each other in both good and not so great times. So, it's not just about spreadsheets. There's a little bit of chocolate and caffeine there as well. We, never goes astray.
And a
And
pig.
that spills, and a pig, a pink pig. But that actually spills across to the rest of the organisation. They actually see and feel that, what they call the finance vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I love that. Hard work and hard laughs. There's no reason why you can't have that balance to keep things going. Look, I haven't delved into the world of funding for the complex world of funding. It's a little over my head, but I did come up with one question here that I wanted to throw at you. If you could change one line in a funding guideline or one KPI most community housing providers track, what would it be and what behavior would that unlock?
I would see, I guess if I look at a technical point of view, I'd want funders to see this as an asset class. So that's probably being a bit financially technical, but to consider it like if you buy a property, that's a house, that's your asset, that community housing is an asset class in its own right. Think about how they fund that. You don't get the returns from that you would get from market rent, that you would in community housing, social rent, etc. So it needs to be treated differently. For how that looks from a funding guideline, it would be funders to consider the social impact of that housing and funding that. So they're not just looking for that we're going to repay this in 25 years at X percent and that we've got interest cover ratio of 1.4 times. It's not looking at that. It's looking at this is housing X number of families, but for them would be a strain or a drain on the government, on the community, on other not-for-profits, on people living on the street. And, you can even go further when I really look at social impact in relation to if you think of a child who doesn't have access to a roof or electricity, how do they study? How do they learn? How do they show up at school? That's the common thing. So for lenders thinking about it not just as a transaction, as dollars on a page, but as bricks and mortars for someone's home, and then making a difference to someone, even a child's life or a person's life.
Yeah, it's very much a human business, human side.
Human, yeah.
Managed with numbers. Look, I really appreciate your time today and accommodating my last minute deferral for 30 minutes to get ready. You're involved with Jenny's Place. Any words to talk about the importance of what you do there and what the importance of that?
Well, that's obviously another wicked problem that requires a wicked solution when you're talking about, and particularly in Jenny's Place, it's women and children escaping domestic and family violence situations, and having the services there that they can go to somewhere and literally start anew. So they often come without any understanding of where do I start. They leave with the clothes on their back and sometimes barely that. Where do I go? What can I do? What supports are there for me to access? How do I get housing? How do I change my children's school? How do I clothe them? How do I feed them? Escaping situations, and it's something that is not going away, and it's something that it requires systemic change, and it's too late when people are in high school or university in the workplace. It needs to start at that, daycare, kinder, primary school level when they know it's not okay to have any sort of emotional, physical, or verbal abuse or control over others. So I think, from that, it's very much a societal problem that is generational, but we need to, you never stop trying to make a difference and affecting
No.
change that way. But I think sometimes when we get to having things when it's awareness at a work and a high school or a work level, it's too late then. A lot of the times it's already that behaviour can be built in.
Yeah.
Obviously, things have happened with the government. They've brought in, family and domestic violence leave. That's fantastic, to have people have the opportunity to be able to do that, making it's something that's not a stigma, that if
Mm.
you are a victim or you're suffering or you're part of this, that there are ways out. And it's okay. It's a bit like the mental health revolution of the last decade. It's
Mm.
okay not to be okay. You
Yeah.
know what? It's also okay if you need help and you're in a situation in your family that no one should be in. It's okay to get help with that as well.
Yeah. Jenny's Place. It sounds like amazing work.
They do a
Thanks.
fabulous work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks again for your time, Lisa. I appreciate it very much.
My pleasure, Andrew, always.